see what the school offers. And if the school doesn't offer it, they're not going to like hurt the student. You know what I mean? Because of that. But I know the dual enrollment, that they're accepted. I want to
No, yeah, yeah.
So like UNH and or I.
You have any pens? I was kidding.
Bring the crowds in. Recruit people off the
Oh,
side.
dude, you're the best. Thank you so much. USA. Oh, hey, America. Look at that. Thank
Hey.
Sound like the allergies are cold.
I have a sinus infection.
Oh, that's nice.
Am I supposed to pull it
By
up?
senior year, so he not so much credit. He was biomedical. His was we're gonna fast track you.
Is that like
to,
you have to pull that out or something? That's bizarre.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, I'm not messing with that.
when it comes.
There you go. Problem solved.
You know, they take the credit or they just.
That's so funny. Amy, can you make sure you can get on the network?
Yep.
If not, this is for you.
What's Dartmouth doing with?
Have you already gotten on?
Yeah, mine's already built.
And that counts.
So that's pretty good, Jen. Which is like so wonderful. Because then you get to take the course.
Hey, Andrew? Andrew? Can you just make sure you can get on the internet? Or do you have your Chromebook? Can you just verify you can get online?
Hey, Dan?
This is nice.
Next time we have a huge crowd, it'll be. Hopefully that happens never. I don't like huge crowds.
Yeah, it's usually not very good.
Big lecture halls.
Flag is over there.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. Yeah. It's just easier for me to navigate on my iPad here. But yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, Amy has
Yeah, I
said-
can get on it.
Okay.
Hello.
I told her she could.
Genders
I told her
need to be
I got it.
yeah.
I told her I got it. She's too conscientious for her own. This was a lot of slack, apparently.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. No, I didn't want to say to Jason, hey, jerk. Struck. No, he said it's a gel pen.
I'm structural.
And I had to pop the top off. It's weird.
Yes.
We can't have a meeting tonight.
Meeting's called off. The pens
Yeah,
aren't right.
yeah. It's too confusing. No, it works fine. Yeah, thank you.
Todd, thank you for taking the time to call me today.
Not at all. Not at all. Happy to do so.
Tim, are these on?
Are these on, Tim?
Tim, are these on?
So we don't
You
have to
sure?
do anything.
Can you hear us if we whisper? Let's talk about it. Can't hear a thing.
Just testing the system, Tim.
Seems like some of them are signed more than others.
You ever use the gavel?
No.
I was going to say, I didn't think you did.
I was proud of myself. I think I got halfway through that legal document before I said, this is
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this May 4th, 2023 school board meeting and first school board meeting in our wonderful middle school, high school cafeteria, which is great. I'd like to take a second and thank Dave Riley for setting this all up, the IT staff for getting everything ready, and of course, Channel 13 over in the corner, broadcasting us live across the country, across the world. We'll start this meeting as we start always with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Phil Nazaro is excused from tonight's meeting. And with that, we'll move right into board comments and committee updates.
The policy meeting had a really good meeting. That this is a conversation with representatives from the student council about trying to build a more robust student rep on the school board, and they had some really neat ideas that kind of fell into a policy that we hope to have to you guys here the next meeting to take a look at.
Awesome. Great. Any other updates or board comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move right on to the student representative report with Lila.
Alrighty. The Newmarket Improv Club cordially invites you to their first show of the year. They will be performing right here in the high school cafeteria from 7 to 9 this Friday, tomorrow. So mark your calendars. It's an audience participation event you won't forget. Big congratulations to our varsity baseball and softball teams for absolutely killing it at their games against Massanutten yesterday. Both teams will be playing again at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and those are both home games. And then finally, good luck to our track and field team who are competing in a relay meet as we speak. That's all I have for me.
Thanks much, Lila.
Of course.
And superintendent report.
Well, thank you, Gary. And actually, one of the advantages for us being here in the cafeteria is we were here to see some of the rehearsal for the improv show. So it's some good stuff. So definitely come out and see it tomorrow night. I wanted to start with just a couple of mentions of some communications that have come out from the school district over the last couple of days. You may have seen an email, and actually it was on the police Facebook page regarding a game that is being played by the senior class. It's a traditional event, a game called Assassin. It involves using squirt guns, and there's a whole elaborate set of rules to it. But one of the things that has come up.
Oh, I don't think they're broadcasting in this room, but we can speak up.
We will speak up. Okay. Is everything's good? All right.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I'll definitely speak up. I apologize. So anyway, there was an email that went out about that. I just wanted people to know that there's no judgment on the fact that kids are choosing to do something outside of school. However, we wanted to make it very clear that this is not a school-sponsored activity, and certainly there have been some unfortunate issues that have come up in other communities. In fact, there was a story on Channel 9 last night about Concord school system. They have a similar event happening up there, and there was two students who went on to private property and were unfortunately confronted by a resident with a shotgun. So clearly that's not stuff that we want our kids to engage in, so I just encourage parents to have conversations with their kids about safety. Playing is fine, but just be safe, really is the message. So there was that. Second thing I wanted to talk about is we got some very sad news in the district yesterday. One of our paraeducators, Janet Fortin, who has been a paraeducator in the district for 7 years, passed away very suddenly. Today was the first day of school since we got this news, and we have spent the day, with staff, just helping people, because clearly she was a very beloved member of the community. And I just wanted people to know that how much her passing has meant to the staff, how committed she was. I also wanted to take a moment to just talk about some of the things that we put in place. One of the things I think a lot of people don't hear about until there's an issue is we do have a district crisis team that is ready to review situations whenever an issue comes up, such as the passing of a beloved community member. Basically what that crisis team is made up of is all the mental health professionals that we have in our district, as well as all the administrators. And so that group has started working on it 24 hours ago, making plans for how to deliver messages, what kinds of supports that need to be in place. Today at the elementary school, we had quite a bit of additional mental health support. DBARD, an organization out of the state, it's called DBARD, it stands for Disaster Behavioral Health Response Team. They had some counselors in our school to work with staff. We sent out a message this afternoon to the community to let people know, and tomorrow we're going to be addressing the issue as needed with students. So we're certainly encouraging parents to have conversations with their kids about it, so that because we really think that parents are the best place for that kind of conversation to happen. However, because this was a person who worked in our schools, we want to make sure to address it where it obviously impacted, and certainly the second grade, which is where Janet worked, is impacted by it. So we will be talking with the second graders and doing what we can to make sense of the situation and support them in that. So I just wanted people to know that. And again, my thoughts and prayers are with Janet's family as they go through a very challenging time. Any questions on either of those issues? Well, in that case, I will move on. I did want to just talk a little bit about the school board retreat on Saturday. I'm very excited for it. Patty and I and the leadership team have been planning the day. We're hopeful that it can be a really productive meeting where we can really begin to think about what are the successes that we've had this year and what are the areas we need to keep working on, and hopefully out of that will give us a starting point to set some goals for the future of the board, but also the leadership team as well as the school district. So I'm excited to see what we can do with that to really bring that all together to improve things. But again, if board members have forgotten, all day Saturday, here actually in the Library Media Center. And then last thing I did want to say, I do want to echo something that Gary mentioned at the outset, how much I appreciate all the people who have helped us bring our school board meeting on the road today. It's important to note, obviously there's technology that goes on, and certainly Jason Carey and the IT team have been involved in this. Dave Ryan and his team have been actively involved in setting it up, and obviously Tim Cremens from Channel 13. They're all of their willingness to do this. I think it speaks to how committed they are to the community. And personally, I think it's wonderful to have a meeting in our schools in a place where this is where learning takes place. And now that we're in the schools, I hope it will potentially draw in more community members to come and see us in action. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll actually probably entice a lot more people to go for student representative to the school board when they can see us in action.
It is true. It is. I have it on good authority from the meeting. There's at least 2 candidates
Yeah.
for
Two?
the school board.
Wow.
the student school
I
board
think
rep.
it's because of you that you set a bar. That
Yeah.
Yeah, we may need audition tapes though. Lila does the student rep report like no one of the persons.
It's true. It is true.
Moving along, we have a summer curriculum and end of year professional development presentation by Patty Wands.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Looks just so nice. Well, they've set everything up here. So I have a few things I'm going to report out on. Won't be too long. So first I wanted to share, I sent a communication out to the staff last week to explain the new mentor program that will be implemented in the fall. And so as a result, we need to have mentor training. And so I've offered 2 dates, June 27th and 28th, and then August 7th and 8th. And I already have 17 teachers who have signed up for the mentor training. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's really great. And then I wanted to share, we're also offering for all of our teachers an opportunity for summer curriculum work. And we really encourage teachers to really be collaborative with their colleagues rather than work by themselves. We feel like, that teacher efficacy is just so important that, in our collaboration, we're really stronger in what we develop for curriculum. And so these forms are not due until May 19th. We already have 9 teachers who have responded. So I feel like just with this, 17 for the mentor program, 9 here, when we compare it to the last few summers where we all acknowledged how exhausted that we all were for a variety of reasons of being an educator through COVID, and we're even now post-COVID, but it's just so exciting, I think, for Todd and I to, and I hope for you as school board members to see the investment of our teachers and their time for the summer, whether to be trained for a mentor program or to just dig into curriculum work with their colleagues over the summer. So teachers have a choice of choosing 1 day or 2 day or even 3 days in the summer to work, and they're compensated each day. And so thought I'd just share with you a couple of things that our teachers are working on. We have our counseling team. We're switching over to a new program. Currently, it's Naviance to help our students with post-high school plans, and we're switching over to Awato. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's AWATO. And so the teachers, the counselors will work together to be trained in that, but not only that, they also need to develop new presentations to share that new programming with the students as well. So that's one thing. We also have 2 different teams of elementary teachers working together to really look at their scope and sequence for math, but also for their developing science units, looking at their science curriculum and developing what does that scope and sequence for their science curriculum look like. They also want to look at, because we're completing our 2nd year of our math implementation with a new program, they're looking at, or we're recognizing that the reporting system of how we report out on the math standards for our students isn't necessarily matching the current report card. We're not saying that the teachers are going to completely revamp the report card. We recognize that that would be a report card committee and, of course, with our board involvement. But they do need that time to look at, okay, how are we reporting out our math learning of our students to our parents? Because it's just not matching. So we're giving teachers time to do that and to share that with parents. And then we also have, let me see, that was my elementary. We also have high school teachers working on their UBD stage 2 and 3 documents. And let me see. We also are switching over for our 504s into an EDMS programming. So we also have counselors as well working on that too. And more work with regard to UBD, and a number of elementary teachers are going to be working together by grade levels. So that's so far on the summer curriculum work, but again, those forms aren't due until May 19th, so we still have, I expect that there will be more coming in. And then just roughly, I can give you a little bit of a snapshot of what June 22nd and 23rd, those professional development days for our teachers, where at the elementary school we'll be having some science and reading training that we're really excited to offer our pre-K to 5 teachers, especially since we're going to be moving into a literacy pilot. And we'll also be whole staff continuing the work of the Portrait of an Educator. So that was kicked off in that January PD day, district PD day. And we're working with consultants from Demonstrated Success. So our first teacher evaluation committee meeting is actually May 16th. And we'll be with our facilitators. And so really at that meeting, we're going to be taking all of the feedback from the staff from January. And the staff gave us feedback on what are the skills, knowledge, skills, and mindsets or dispositions that we are looking at for an educator in the Newmarket School District. Let's figure out what that is first. Once we do that, how do we create that portrait? And with, again, very similar to the process of a vision of a graduate, would be with our teachers, with our pre-K to 12 teachers, a full kind of vetting process of what do we look for. Okay, once we've created that, now what does a professional growth plan look like for an educator in the Newmarket School District? So that work is done first before we can get to how do we evaluate or develop the professional growth plans. So when we meet on May 16th, we're going to go over that feedback from the whole staff, and then that will start to inform what will that look like on June 22nd when we meet with the staff for about, I had about an hour and a half with the staff to kind of share that feedback and get a little bit more feedback from them as well. And also we have a school care presentation, which is our health benefits presentation to all of our staff. That's one of the days. Our high school will also be very much with the whole elementary and high school for the Portrait of an Educator and the school care, along with paraeducators as well. Our high school staff will also be broken up into school improvement teams. We're kind of shifting from that NEASC subcommittee to school improvement teams. So Dr. Corman is kind of organizing all of that with his administrative team. We'll do a little bit of the next day, we're going to be looking at, for elementary teachers, teachers really digging into that current spring data to helping inform intervention groups so we can get going right, that second week of school in September rather than waiting until late October, November to start some interventions with our students. So they were really excited to have that time and planning. And then also giving them some time. We have some software training of Edmentum, which are resources to help support teachers scaffold instruction or differentiate their instruction. So it's giving them that training and then giving them time, as we like to say, play. Just go with it, go back to your classroom, play around with Edmentum, thinking of those units that you're teaching in the fall, and what does that look like, so how you can meet the needs of all of your students. We also have some Gale database training. So there's a lot of the training that the teachers need, but it's going to be chock full those 2 days. And then also giving teachers time to collaborate with their departments or grade levels for that planning. I think we hit everything. Any questions?
I do.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. So you mentioned a lot of things that you'll be doing for the teachers on Professional Day, the last couple of days. How about the para?
Yes. So the para educators, they will all be involved at the elementary level with the science of reading training, in addition to special educators, reading specialists from the middle high school as well. They'll all be participating in that training. I know that Erica McNeil and Christina Cochran, Jeannie Civiello are very much involved in that planning for the paraprofessionals, and I just haven't had a moment to sit down with them. But I know that as we do that Portrait of an Educator work, we want to mirror for our paraeducators. They also did the Portrait of a Paraeducator in January. So that work, my sense is going to continue as well on that June day. And but I can come back the next meeting. I know Erica, Christine, and Jeannie are really finalizing all of those trainings for our paras, because their day as well will be as organized and full as it was in our March PD day.
Okay. And I just had another question. On the Portrait of the Educator, how is that going to transfer over into elements of when we hire people? Will it be in any element of that process?
That's a really good question, because our first thought with the Portrait of an Educator, when that work has been completed, it really informs how we evaluate, or as I know Todd and I like to say, how we create and develop professional growth plans. As educators, we're constantly in a cycle of learning. We're always looking at the latest research of how students learn, and that impacts our teaching as well and our learning. And so the current model is more identifying if a teacher is proficient or not proficient. And what we're saying is we're all learners. We're a learning community. So when we're developing professional growth plans, it's always centered around learning. And when we develop the Portrait of an Educator, that's centered on the knowledge, skills, and mindsets or dispositions of an educator. So it encompasses a broad range of not just your content knowledge, but what is the community that's created in your classroom? What is the structure, the organization, the routines, the procedures in your classroom? That's also a significant element of being an educator. What does that learning look like as an educator outside of the classroom for the teacher? What does the collaboration, the collegiality look like? So in terms of, I love the question because it's just making me think as I go, but when we're interviewing staff and teachers, I certainly could see a connection of pulling from those knowledge, skills, and mindsets when we're developing questions in an interview. Yeah, it's a great question.
I could also see, clearly we're also doing work on job descriptions for all the different functions.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've done a lot of conversation about internally is that right now we have a job description that is pretty much, it's a teacher job description, but it doesn't, not all teachers do the same thing. So like a case manager is different than a school psychologist, is different than the library media specialist, is different than a third grade teacher, is different than a chemistry teacher, and wanting to make sure that we create job descriptions that are there. And within the kind of the profile of an educator, really what you're trying to do is step outside the content as much and talk about what are the skills, talents, traits that a person needs to have to do the job. And I definitely could see elements of that showing up in the job description, and I think, as Patty noted, interview questions as well, because I think ultimately we want teachers that have all of the skills, talents, dispositions, traits that we're talking about to work for us, but we also want to, once we have people, even if they don't fully have them developed, to be able to work with them to develop them. Because in some ways, we're in the teacher development business. You know, it's rare that you get a teacher who you hire that's like 100% of everything under control. They need help somewhere, and this model is less about finding what you can't do and saying, okay, what can we work on now? How can we move forward?
First off, I just want to say that the summer thing sounds fantastic, and then I had shared with you earlier in the week. I want to share with you that I had sitting down with some friends who were also teachers over spring break, and as teachers do, we started just talking about just our teaching life, and I had shared what you and Patty were doing with the mentorship. A couple of them asked us to do a job too. So and I know you didn't come prepared to talk about this, but the portrait. So please say if you're not ready to talk about it. But the portrait of the educator. Do you think there'll ever be a point where there'll be like a master teacher program that a teacher can move horizontal on the pay scale? Or like that?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Well, what's so interesting, we don't have in the CBA a master teacher section. And in fact, I serve on the state leadership team, the New Hampshire Educator Effectiveness team, and one of the priority areas, the goals, I'm not particularly on this team because I'm on the mentor team, but there's a group that is working at the state level with a master teacher certificate. And so recognizing one of our goals is building leadership capacity in teachers, recognizing not all teachers want to be administrators, and that's okay. We need teacher leaders. We need teacher leaders to help move, right, initiatives and programming within their building, and to really cultivate that, right, and support that. So one thing is having a master teacher certificate. So that would come out of the New Hampshire Department of Education, and that is something that I know that state leadership team that I serve on, there's a group that's working on that.
Okay.
It's pretty exciting, and the work that's going involved with that.
Okay.
So yeah, when that's ready to be released, I'm sure, because they work with the Department of Ed.
Okay.
That will be released.
Thank you. And at some point, I personally would really be interested in seeing the UBD work. So if at some point you or maybe some teachers could just present it.
You know what? We should invite. I would love to invite actually teachers who've created those documents to walk you through a stage 1 development. I think that is, I'm going to write that note.
Yeah, we had set the goal by the end of this year having all of the stage 1 templates done, and they're in the process of being uploaded, correct? So
they are, they're being submitted to Deb Jankowski. And Deb, we thought if too many people, like too many chefs in the kitchen, it could be chaotic. So they're going to Deb Jankowski, and she is uploading them. So they're not live when you go to our curriculum website, but Deb has them.
Oh, great.
And so she's organizing them by, grade level, subject area, for at the high school level, department area.
Thank you. I know at some point I would really like the opportunity to praise the hard work they put in and just kind of see it.
Yeah, I'm writing that. I think I would love to invite some teachers, maybe from some different departments, and have them walk you through it. I think it would be great.
And has there been any discussion about vertical integration?
The vertical alignment, So kind of the thinking behind this is once the documents are created, this is really the focus is 612, is then you lay them out. So let's say it's English department, and you have 9 through 12 teachers, and you lay out your stage 1. Now you're going to do a crosswalk of what are the standards in your department, and you want to look at each of those stage 1 documents and really just kind of check, like, do I have the standard there? From there, you can have that vertical discussion. But also, I think really what we need to start pulling in is data. Let's look at the data in English and literature and nonfiction And how are our students doing? What are they doing really well at? And what are some challenge areas for them? Let's go back to our stage 1 or our unit developments, and where are we hitting that standard really hard? And where maybe are we just skimming the surface? What can we do differently in our units or our instruction? And that's where we go back to that teacher efficacy, talking with each other, collaborating, helping and supporting each other as we look at this data. And that's that vertical discussion of 9th grade teacher could say, oh, well, I can take it here because these standards are in bands and they're going to spiral. And so you're going to see citing textual evidence, right? You're going to see that from the elementary. Lila's nodding her head. But, are we failing somewhere? Or are we falling short, I should say, not failing. But that's those great, important discussions that grade level teachers need to have. And I would probably start 9-12, and 6-8 is here, 9-12 is here. And now you need to start to get 8th grade and 9th grade talking. Where are we? 5th grade and 6th grade talking. Where are we? So that's that work. But we have to get the stage 1, the UBD, done first. Then we can really talk about our standards, and quite honestly, I'd love to talk about competency as well. Yeah. But, it's baby steps, one thing at a time. We don't want to overwhelm people, but I'm so proud and so pleased that the teachers, their investment and their really labor, hard work, and efforts to putting into these documents.
On the topic of the vertical alignment, I'm curious if you have thoughts about, how do you, in a sense, push more of the leadership down to the different departments within the school? Because just to show my age a bit, my first term on the budget committee, which was the 2 superintendents ago, there was a lot of talk about vertical integration of curriculum. And, obviously one way that you don't lose momentum is don't have a global pandemic, but that's a little bit out of our control. The other way that in organizations I've been part of that you make sure that you don't kind of lose momentum on initiatives like that is you make sure that there's a lot of leadership and involvement from the parts of the organization that are less likely to experience some degree of regular turnover. So any thoughts about how
I really feel like the coordinators, the department heads have really taken on, the leadership within their department. I have to really praise the UBD subgroup, that was developed out of the NEAS group. You have teachers like Caitlin Schaus, who's a 10th grade English teacher, who her UBD units are exemplars. There are many teachers in this school who UBD units, stage 1 documents, they're exemplars. They are outstanding. And so Caitlin, being a member in that group during, I want to say it was the March District PD Day, when the high school had a period of time, the middle school and the high school, where it was these drop-in sessions. And so, because you need to develop experts in the field, so to speak. And so Caitlin and some of the colleagues, her colleagues that developed some of these documents that are truly exemplars, and working with newer teachers or new staff just this year, having that opportunity to sit with your colleague and having them walk you through and assist you, that's how work gets pushed forward. And that's how you gain a momentum as well in the school. It's not, of course it's Andy, your school leader, but it's teachers helping teachers, and because they believe in the work and they're proud of their work and they want to share their work with their colleagues. And I think that's also how it moves forward. And having teacher leaders in a school, and I say it all the time that I feel like that was always given to me as a teacher. Just opportunities. Hey, Patty, you want to do this, or do you want to learn this? Do you want to go to this workshop with me? And I always said yes, because I always looked at it as, it's an opportunity for me to learn more. And if you're thinking in that mindset that you're never done learning, there's always something new to learn. I feel like I've just been so fortunate, maybe because, and maybe I say yes too much too, that sometimes it's a problem for me. But I've learned every step along the way, and me being selected to serve on the New Hampshire Educator Effectiveness Team, I am the only school administrator, on that team. It's mostly higher ed folks on that team, but I have then met so many people as a result, and I continue my learning. And so I just can't say enough how I'm always reaching out to teachers to build leadership capacity and modeling that because it was given to me. And I know Todd is the same way.
I think one thing also to mention, Patty, is we've had job descriptions for our curriculum leaders for quite some time.
Yeah.
But I do think during the pandemic, some of the emphasis on curriculum sort of faded to the back, and it became more about problem-solving school issues.
Yeah.
And one of the things we've done this year is we reviewed the job description with curriculum leaders, and we're asking people to recommit to what the intention of the role was.
Yes.
And we've actually, right now we're going through a review process, so people have been encouraged from across the school to apply.
To apply.
And so what we're hoping is with that, which is not to say the people who have been doing it aren't doing a great job, it's just we want to make sure people are committed to the role, which is to promote and help develop curriculum, not to solve school behavioral problems, which there's another area for that,
do that.
but the purpose of these curriculum leaders is to lead us down that path, and I think we're trying to kind of reframe it.
Yes.
And hopefully what it will do is lead to more of the people who have been sort of on the forefront of it, stepping into those roles and hopefully moving the ball forward. Because we did spend, I would say, half the year sort of in a back and forth conversation about where are we, what do we do, and because I think there was a lot of kind of, particularly with UBD, I think we spent quite a few years talking about it, but I don't think there had been as many deliverables.
Right.
And I think what we have tried to do is establish stage one as a key deliverable in this year, and I think it's caused people to relook at the work and say, oh, okay, there's a product that we're working towards. And then you overlay that with kind of embracing people who want to help lead this charge and give them an official role to do so, and I think the work just goes forward much quicker that way.
I mean, and that's great to hear, because it's definitely a step outside of, I don't get the sense that 11th grade social studies teachers spend a lot of time normally talking to 4th grade social studies teachers about how they can make the curriculum line up better. And, the most robust system I think we could have is not one where the administration is saying, all right, let's get together and work on vertical alignment today. It's the administration saying, hey, how are we doing on vertical alignment? And the teacher said, oh, well, you've been up in the ivory tower. Here are the things we've been doing for the past, 6 months it's a somewhat different mindset than, like Todd said, the what fire do I need to stomp on today to keep things moving.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Welcome.
Thanks, Patty.
All right, into the discussion items. First item is correspondence.
I did receive one piece of correspondence I just wanted to share with you. I got a note from a representative from Eagle Creek Properties wondering if we were interested in selling the property across the street from the high school to a developer. So I feel like I needed to bring that to your attention. Not that we have to do anything with it tonight, but I was saying to Gary, maybe it's something that could be a future agenda item to talk about what our thoughts are on what to do with that property.
Tell me what the parking lot is?
The parking lot?
And the land behind it. We have about 14 acres, and there's significant debate about like how much of it is wetlands and what is usable and so forth. But I think it's one of the things that we could certainly do is investigate it more and make sure we understand what we have, and then look at what the options for it might be. But certainly,
We probably want to keep the parking lot section of it.
Yeah,
If
we
nothing
definitely-
else.
we could not function without that parking.
Yeah,
lot.
I was
so
like,
that
the
would
one
be a
time
problem.
I've been here during the school day,
Yeah.
I had trouble parking.
Yeah, but the district owns, I just looking at the map today, 14.31 acres over on
Okay.
that side. And probably 2 acres of it is the parking lot in the surrounding area. So there's probably 12 acres that is not being utilized, either because it's wetlands or whatever it is, but just mention that to you.
Again, I don't expect the answer right now, but if we're going to talk about it at some point, it would be good to know, like, how much 108 frontage do we own on either side of the parking lot? Because if you were going to sell anything behind it, you'd have to cut somebody an easement to get in and out.
Right. I do. Dave Riley is having an engineering study done on it. 'Cause lots of people have suggested to me great uses for the land, but of course, we got to figure out what it actually is it possibly used for before we have too much of a discussion. So I would agree with you. We need to take a look at the property.
And
We have
sorry,
a
that's
capital improvement project to put
right.
a giant athletic field for $1 million there as well.
I wouldn't. I
That's-
mean, I
Which is
wouldn't. I
probably
wouldn't
$2
say
million
no.
now, but-
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no.
Well, if we get a good inheritance of someone.
And apologies, that's actually 152, not 108.
You're right. Anyone else get any correspondence? No? Okay. The next item of the discussion is superintendent evaluation and forum. We'd spoken recently about sending out a survey, and Dan and Amy put together some questions. Has everyone had a chance to look at those and have any thoughts about the questions or suggested changes? Comfortable sending it, getting a survey sent out? I guess my only question would be, my only question would be, were you planning on having just response fields or maybe a rating section with a response area below it?
Well, we did talk about that very briefly. I guess I've never done a survey, an official survey, so I really don't have experience with that. I guess we could all agree on that as a board.
You could actually do both. You could have a question that has a 1 to 5 rating scale, and then a place for a person to put any specific comments.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back to the conversation we had 2 meetings ago now. If memory is correct, it felt, I don't want to put words in people's mouths, like the general direction was to try to steer people towards something that we could reasonably, coherently collate and evaluate, to not have it be so open-ended that that you essentially end up with a large amount of comments that somebody then has to sit and try, how does this relate to that? How do, what does the price of eggs have to do with anything? What is,
Who are we hoping to send this to?
I think the staff as well as the community, right, at large.
So I just want to make sure. So this is quite a bit different than what we had when Amy and I discussed with Todd. I just want to make sure Todd's comfortable with.
I think, to me, the challenge is to make sure that the questions are structured enough that, kind of as Dan has said, if it's open-ended, you're going to get whatever you get. The more you can tailor it to a range of responses, so you can actually categorize your responses and have it be meaningful. If it's going to be used in an evaluative way, you really need to do something to quantify it. We also talked about, and this is also related here, is the idea of having some kind of a community forum, and then maybe having some tool that people fill out in attendance. One of the challenges you get in when you send out a survey is everybody has equal opportunity to respond, but it doesn't mean they have equal opportunity to have information to respond based upon. And so that's where it gets challenging. Typically if you want to do a survey of some sort, or an evaluative tool in this case, you probably want to give people enough information and context that they can give you meaningful feedback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you'd want to have that forum. You'd want to give people enough information so that they're, have a more informed opinion about what they're responding. And then, again, my opinion is, I like the questions that Amy and I came up with, or more Amy than me, really, because they are like very straightforward and simple and not open to a great deal of interpretation in terms of how I would propose we ask people to respond to them. It's just a very simple scale. The numbers aren't so important, whether it's 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 3 for that matter, but just, you need people to give you something that you can compare to everybody else's answer on an apples-to-apples basis and get a sense of where people are coming out without having to do a lot of guessing about the semantics of, what different phrases mean when they come from different people. I also, I think there's some value in making sure that we analyze the responses that we get in some form of context, which is, the nice way of saying that when you survey the staff, they may have a different set of issues front and center in their mind than community members do. And that's something that, you absolutely have to take into account when you look at the results. You can't really mix and match, I don't think anyway, those two constituencies. I know that my boss at work values knowing what I think about him. On the flip side, however, our board of directors isn't really asking for my input when they decide, how to evaluate him at the end of the year. It's not that they want me to think that he's terrible, but on the same time, on the flip side, they have a different set of goals and objectives for him than what I, as an employee, might have.
So, one thing, like, I want to get the process going. I feel like we've talked about this for 3 months. And the other thing too is, I feel like just based on what, I have heard through conversations in the public and all that, like, I don't think, like, this is going to impact anything we already think. My struggle is, like, the second one and the fourth one is we're making the assumption that everyone has had the same opportunity for an equal amount of interaction with Todd over the course of the year. And then with the third one, when we hired Todd, the idea was, like, just right the ship and make sure the lights are turned on. And I'm wondering if it's fair to ask if there is a vision that has been communicated with the community, both inside the buildings and outside the buildings, because I don't think we were really looking forward to the future until probably midway through the school year. That is my concerns. At the same time, I also think that I personally don't think it's going to change anything what we assume is already going to happen. But I am concerned that we're beginning of May and we haven't started this process. So.
Yeah, and we do have 2 forum dates in mind that I was going to go over in a few minutes. So, I mean, I think maybe, I agree with you. Perhaps third question, we just kind of wait and, we get a lot of negatives. We wouldn't necessarily be surprised. If we got a lot of negatives from staff, I'd probably be a little more surprised. But I think he's done a lot of talk about where he'd like the professional development and how the whole staff approaches their work. So I would be surprised there, but I think you're right. We've gotten to the point where we really need to get something out. And it occurred to me also that we probably need some kind of an introductory letter to what this even is and why we're sending it.
Would there be any openness in changing the last question to open answer as, like, is there any other thing you would like the board to consider when making this decision concerning Superintendent Allen's contract?
Maybe we just add an open question.
Yeah, changing the last one to an open question.
I might leave that and just add an additional question that has that. That's just a text area.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think, reserve the right to change my mind on this 3 minutes from now, but I think I agree with Gary in the sense that really is the crux of, you boil down, why are we doing all of this? It's because we don't want the community to feel like we did this without hearing what they have to say, and that I fully get your concerns, but that question is kind of integral to that. So.
I guess I'm confused because I thought we report to all people in the community, like we represent them, and we should get their feedback. And I feel like you're saying the opposite of that now.
The last question?
Andrew. No, just in general, you're saying you know how we feel as a board as far as the superintendent is concerned. Maybe I'm hearing it wrong.
No,
But we should get their feedback no matter what. And if some things are open-ended, I'd like to hear what their thoughts are, you know? And that's what we need to consider in the next contract. And honestly, I think it's going to be 99.9% positive, but I still think we have a responsibility. That .1,
Yeah.
well,
No, I agree
That's
with you.
Todd's
though.
goal for next year.
That's not what I heard from Andrew, so let's maybe get his feedback. 'cause
no, I'm not. Through this whole process, I want to make sure we have public input. Like, I want to make sure my only concern with, like, we decided on the survey. I'm all about a survey. Like, 'cause that's what the board decided, and I want to move forward with that. I guess my question is just the assumption that everyone has had the same experience and interaction with Todd. That you could do this, because
Well, we could do 1 to 5, and then not applicable, I haven't had enough interaction, I don't have enough information to answer this, or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
no,
I think
I
we
honestly
actually
don't
had that.
mind if we change any questions. I wouldn't be offended at all. I'm just saying, I guess I misunderstood you.
Oh,
And so, I'm sorry, but I just misunderstood you.
I appreciate it. I'm ready to move on. I just wanted to make sure that Todd had the opportunity to have input on the process, and that,
Absolutely.
I could make
Right.
one suggestion that might, because I do think one of the challenges is when you send out a survey to the entire community, as we've noted, different people have had different experiences. Some have zero connection, and some have had a lot of connection. So you don't have like a baseline of, okay, what's the information that they're going to base this on? In a normal hiring process, you would, particularly for superintendents, it's common to have, like, you reach a point where you have a couple of finalists, and you have a community event where there's an audience that comes in. People ask questions, they get answers, and then they react to that, because that's the source of information. What makes this situation different is we didn't have the normal hiring process at the beginning.
True.
I've had a year, so I have a record now. And so what you're trying to do is to thread the needle between, okay, how much of this is the record of this year, and how much of it is what you want for your school system moving forward. And I think that the value of a forum as the focus of it is it allows people to come with their questions. Some might be, well, why are we doing it this way? You know, what's your rationale for this? It might be challenging some of that thinking, but then it allows everybody to kind of react to that source of information.
Yeah.
And certainly if we did it as a video kind of thing where people could watch it, you could conceivably also then send out a survey that's the same survey you've asked people who were in attendance to do, so that there's a common base of information, and you have more likelihood that the people who are responding based upon a specific idea or thought that they have. I mean, I have to say one other thing. I want to say this. This community is wonderful. I have had nothing but positive interactions across the community. But one of the things that is also true is the community has been very quiet, and so it's hard for me to get a read. So I can only imagine that there are people out there who might be having a challenge getting a read as well. So I just put that out there.
Yeah, and I know too. I'm coming from the perspective of someone that's gone through surveys like this before, and they have not always assessed what the board intended them to be assessed, and it was because it was more of deep-seated feelings that existed, whether or not the superintendent was Joe Schmo or Old Yeller. I know that is clouding my just the way I interpret these. But other than that, I know this was a lot of work for both of you two, and I want to appreciate that, and I am ready to move forward. I like the idea of doing I don't know what the dates are for the Q&A session, but maybe doing the Q&A session and then connecting the survey to that. And even if we want to reach out to the wider public, to people that cannot attend, we could even have it taped and have a link to it for people to watch beforehand.
Yeah,
So
that was my thought. You put the link at the end of the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe actually this is a better survey to send out afterwards, because then they'll have more of an opportunity to meet, so after the forum.
Mm.
Well, but probably also people who are physically here, just have a stack of them at the back of the room at the end. And
Yeah.
You doing the
box of
data entry?
pins.
Yeah.
I mean, I will. Look, I will.
I'm teasing. Yeah.
Well,
it's a-
no, but because.
Well, we did talk about having some sort of
Yeah.
form for them to fill out, so yeah, I think it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
And you could even put a QR code in the back for people to connect with their phones and then just do the Google Doc right there and then.
Sure.
That might
So-
be a better idea. Well, yeah, maybe both.
I have another suggestion. When we send out information about the forum, we could also ask people that can attend if they have any questions
Mm.
that Todd could answer
Oh, great idea.
at the
Yeah.
forum.
Yep.
You
If
know,
they can't show up or whatever, that's
Yeah.
a great idea.
yeah.
All right, so why don't we make the assumption that I'll draft up some introductory text, maybe put some types of responses we might have, 1 to 5, enough information, sort of thing. Bring it to the board. We'll plan on putting it out after the forum, and then we'll draft some kind of letter regarding an invitation to the forum.
Well,
And we can bring.
what dates did you have in mind?
So the dates, and unfortunately Phil's not here, the dates we reserved are March 17th and March,
May.
oh my gosh, yeah, next year. So,
We're in a
excuse
hurry.
me, we're in a hurry. Yeah, May 17th, thank you, and May 25th,
And
or May
actually,
25th.
it was May 24th, because
Oh, it was, okay.
the May 25th is a junior senior high school band and orchestra concert. Which
Oh,
do
we
not
are
want to
not
miss.
going to disrupt that. All right,
I'm sorry, Gary, what was the dates again?
so the 17th or the 24th, and then at 6 or 6:30, we're thinking of maybe having some food to entice some people, or desserts or something.
As much as I hate to do this without Phil here, it kind of feels like we need to make this decision tonight.
Unfortunately, we do.
Yeah.
Because neither of, well, the 24th would be after our next meeting, but not the 17th.
I think, oh, yeah, so the 24th would be better, as far as being able to finalize the survey.
Yeah, either date is good with me.
Or we vote to empower yourself or somebody else. I mean, if people are happy enough with the questions as written, you're really only empowering somebody to come up with the
Yeah.
rating scale.
And some introductory,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, write some introductory language and, make the decision as to whether or not we add the open-ended comment box. I mean, that's really the only three things we're deciding, right?
But
At this
it would be,
point?
yeah, you're right, it would be. My only one thought would be we change the last question to say, beyond the 23-24 school year,
Oh, yeah.
instead of after.
Isn't that what it says
Yeah,
already?
it says that.
Yeah.
Beyond.
Mine says, do you support the renewal of Superintendent Allen's contract after the 23-24 school year?
The one I have
School.
says
Yeah,
beyond.
mine says beyond.
Okay, interesting. I thought I copied and pasted this when I sent it to you. Maybe I didn't.
I'm looking at the PDF that was sent to me.
Oh,
Or no, I showed the Google Doc.
Yeah, Patty sent you a
Oh.
memo,
okay, let me look at that.
and the memo says beyond.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick, somewhat related question?
Mhm.
On the school letterhead, does it still have the mule with the mask?
Probably not. That's the
Just
first
in
time I've
case.
Okay,
That's the
I
first
just,
time I've seen it.
I don't want to go back and visit that, so.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. We'll get rid of that.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was Patty's invite for the meeting.
No mask.
Oh, yeah, yeah, thank you.
But is anybody uncomfortable with that? If we empower Gary and such other people as he may choose to lean on to finalize a survey around these
Oh.
questions as written?
So Patty must have changed that then. Apparently she's
Yeah.
thinking the way I'm thinking.
She's wiser.
Yeah, she's wiser than I am. No, I'm comfortable with that as long as everyone else is.
Amy,
I mean,
is
the
that-
introductory text would be basically we're addressing renewal of Superintendent Allen because of he was hired as an interim and extended for a year. We feel like we need to get the public's input, blah, 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 blah. I'll leave out the blah, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And so then 17th or the 24th, did we say the 24th is better? Does it not matter?
I mean, sooner sounds better to me. That just strictly from
Well,
the standpoint
if we're going to do the
of
survey afterwards, it makes a lot more sense to do it sooner, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you give time to get responses back, and
Before the
yeah,
end of the
I
year.
mean, again, to Andrew's point, we've sort of been kicking this around
Yeah.
for 4 meetings at this point.
Okay, so the 17th, 6 or 6:30?
6:30.
Yeah, you'll get a little better.
6:30, okay.
Yeah, I think it's.
So, you know,
Sure. Yeah, should we mention this to Channel 13?
Oh.
So it doesn't need to be live. People from Channel 13 or people in the general public? All right, how's the 24th looking? All right, we've been overruled by Channel 13.
I would also say that the 24th just gives you a little bit more time to get word out to people.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if you're going to do it on the 17th, we'd really need to get something out by the first of next week to have any hope of.
Yeah. Is that responsibility to get the word out fall on the board? To get the word out, or is that?
I
I'm
am
not
happy
quite
to
sure what that-
facilitate sending out whatever you want, but it probably should be a board invitation. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
No.
I'm glad you brought it up.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much for
No.
bringing it
That's a
up.
good point, Tim. Thank you.
State your name and your address, but no, I'm just kidding. Thank you for bringing it up. If it should be a board invitation, however, we don't have the mechanism.
Yeah.
So I think the superintendent or the SEU would do it on our behalf.
Okay.
You
Oh.
Just give me what you want to say, and I can push it out on Blackboard.
Okay. I was gonna say, do you think there's any way? Because I know that we had a really good turnout for the Portrait of a Graduate. At least it was better than what it traditionally has. There was a comment about making sure that we reach out further into the community and things like
Right.
that. I'm wondering if we could reach out to the churches or other organizations to put something in the bulletin or what have you.
Great idea.
I would say Tim does the newsletter for the town, so we could actually just get it. Could go out in the town newsletter.
great.
'Cause that actually was where people got the Vision of a Graduate stuff.
Okay.
I'm actually wondering if we maybe get permission from Tim to do a special announcement beyond the newsletter.
There you go.
How did you get so much power?
For those of you at home, Tim is holding his thumb up.
Okay, so 6:30 on the 24th. And you folks care if we just have dessert or food, pizza or something, or? either
Sounds
way,
good.
Whatever, okay. I'll let Patty plan that since she's the boss anyways.
She loves that stuff.
Yeah. All right, so the questions are done. The next up are forum dates. Those are done. And then I just wanted to bring up one of the items that I've been charged with is talking with Todd about contract renewal. We've had some preliminary discussions. Todd's actually, his biggest concern is trying to find a way to entice the district administrative team to kind of stay maybe longer. So if we gave him a 3-year contract, his thinking is if we could authorize him to have the admin team, the district admin team, maybe go into a multi-year contract, it would be great for the district, as well as perhaps offer some sort of annuity or some other form of enticement to, other than us groveling, to stick around for a multi-year contract. It's probably something we should be doing anyways for most staff. Since a 1-year contract is not necessarily the best approach, I would think.
Typically, are they 3?
But
Good too.
it varies from district
Varies.
to district. I mean, typically, building principals and central office administrators usually are on multi-year contracts. Oftentimes, assistant principals and directors may not be, but I think we have a really, really good team, and it would be great to keep the band together long enough to make some progress.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it sends a really good message to the community and the staff that we're committed to following up on the initiatives that are being started now.
Yes.
So. Awesome. I don't think technically the board needs to give him permission for that, but we can double check. The last item in the discussion is the school board summer schedule. I know in July we've already talked about only having one meeting, which I don't remember the date. But what are your thoughts in August? Should we step one meeting, or?
Did we decide on a meeting in July?
We decided on one meeting in July.
We haven't scheduled it yet.
Oh, okay.
But we kind of tentatively
Okay.
I'm
discussed
sorry.
it.
Yeah. And we don't need to decide now. Perhaps we should wait till it goes back. But just whether we want to have one or two meetings in August, or I guess it could be none for that matter.
I do want to just throw in one small wrinkle, or actually maybe two wrinkles. One wrinkle is,
Can we go back up to your evaluation?
okay, yeah,
discussion, and then-
too many wrinkles. But one, I was talking to Jana today, and the first week of July is the 4th of July, which is a very common week people take off.
Yep.
So my thought was the meeting in July would be the second meeting that we typically would have, which would be
The 20th?
July 20th, I believe.
Yeah, I'm away the second week.
Yeah. So, but we also need at the end of the fiscal year to make a decision about the year-end fund balance,
Mhm.
and it should be done fairly close to the end.
Yep.
Jana felt if we had a meeting on June 29th, and it could just be about what to do with the fund balance and making those decisions, it wouldn't have to be a full meeting, because we would already have a meeting on the 1st and 15th, but on the 29th, just to deal with that one issue. That
I don't know if I trust us to hold to that agenda.
Well, we could expand to, but it doesn't have to be any more than that. is
But
what-
it's just the decision of whether we want to withhold any or all.
Right. Yeah,
Or
well, what do
percentage.
we, yes.
So
you
that's
have
something
to,
we may be able to decide prior to
Right.
the 29th.
I think the challenge for Jana will be getting you a full.
The exact numbers.
Exact numbers, so you can work from it. The
But-
second meeting in June is June 15th, and there's quite a bit still to be wrapped up, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're saying June 29th.
Yes,
20th, yeah.
instead of,
June 15th, yeah, okay.
so we'd
So
have
just
3
having-
instead of 2 meetings.
So you would, you'd basically be having, it would mean 3 meetings in June, but again, if you just had the third meeting be just to do that, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking if we get a ballpark within $500,000, or we could even say, we want to retain up to this amount, or something along those
Right,
lines,
okay,
earlier in June.
okay.
So maybe we could discuss it when it gets closer.
But yeah, see, if you're comfortable making that decision on June 15th, then that's fine. It's just, I think Jana does not feel she can give you a full picture that early.
Yeah,
in
oh, yeah,
June.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can decide that when we get closer, if we need to. And what was the other, was there another wrinkle? Was that
Oh,
it?
I'm sorry. The other wrinkle was I was hoping to take vacation the first 2 weeks of July, so I was hoping,
No, that,
that's my personal wrinkle.
July 1st, you want to have it? No. All right. And then let's discuss August when we get a little closer. All right, with that, go up, sorry, Dan.
So,
Or
so I'm sorry, is it July 20th that we're thinking about meeting?
tentatively?
July 20 would be the date I would suggest, yes.
Okay. Amy, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you earlier. Are you able to do the 20th?
I can do the 20th. I
Okay.
can't do the second week I'm away.
Yeah, if I could attend it virtually, I'd be happy to. If that's,
Very good. All right, moving right along, we'll open the floor to public comment at 6:04. Wait for the masses to flood in. And then close the floor to public comment at 6:04. No movement to the microphone. And move right along to action items. The first action item is the approval of a general assurances form that we are required to present to the board and get authorization for us to send. It's a annual document that's actually in our packet, I believe.
Yeah, it is a very detailed packet, but basically it contains all of the procedural and ethical and accounting standards we're supposed to maintain in order to manage grant funds. And I assure you, you guys have met Jana, and you know how detailed she is. We do all these things, but this is a document that actually this is the consolidated version, because in the past they had two things you had to do. So this is one set of assurances, and basically the board has to authorize it, and then Gary and I sign off on it.
It's a lot.
So I'd seek a motion to authorize myself and Todd to sign off on the 2024 General Assurances Form.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion, questions? No, with that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Someone have the April 20th manifests? Excuse me, April 20th minutes, and then we'll do the manifest. Do we have public and non-public?
Just,
I think we just have
Just
public.
public, right, yeah. I'd seek a motion to approve the April 20th public minutes.
so moved.
Motion by Dan, second, anyone?
I'll second.
Second by Andrew, any discussion, any corrections, amendments, revisions, thoughts? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, 4-0. Manifest.
Make a motion to approve the manifest of May 4th, 2023 for the amount of $1,126,335.38.
We have a motion from Andrew, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Amy, thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Manifests are approved, 4-0. We have some site work approval for the elementary school playground.
Just a couple
Wanna
of
go over
quick
that?
words on that. I mean, obviously, there were two bids that came in. We are recommending the lower bid from Select Excavation and Landscaping. Basically, this is for all the mulch and the groundwork that needs to be included in the playground. There'll be another proposal for the actual equipment.
Todd, other than just the mulch, how much civil actually goes into this? Is there much leveling or excavation?
Not a huge amount. I mean, there is some concern that drainage over there is a bit of a problem, so there'll be some grading that has to go on. But yeah, it's mulch and any other ground cover that needs to be included in there.
When we remove the old equipment, are we getting all new equipment? And if
Yeah,
we
it's
are,
all- it's all
are we
new
donating the old equipment anywhere, do you know? Or by chance?
I mean, certainly we will follow our policies about what we do to either dispose of or offer to others. Some of the equipment is really not. It's
Yeah.
past its prime,
Yep.
but certainly anything that's useful that might be usable for somebody else, we'll offer it either for sale or for free if it's not, doesn't have a financial value attached to it.
And if we do dispose of anything, maybe we can get rid of the basketball hoop that's sitting in the woods on the elementary school at the same time?
We'll try.
All right. It hasn't rusted away yet, unfortunately, so.
Give it another 20
Maybe
years.
another 20 or 30 years, yeah. So I'd seek a motion to accept the bid of Select Excavation and Landscaping for the elementary school work.
So moved.
Motion by Dan, second.
I'll second.
Second by Andrew. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 4-0. We have some generous donations from NCEP. This time we have a $750 Project Search donation for the middle high school for Silas Richards. Do you want to say anything about that?
Okay. Project Search is just it's a really good program. It kind of engages kids early on in thinking about post-graduation plans. Gives them a chance to do, some exploration. It's a great program. Silas has been doing it for a couple of years. It's great that NCEP has given him some funds to expand that program.
All right. So let's seek a motion to accept the donations. Did I already do that?
So moved.
Amy, thank you. Second? Anyone?
Second.
Second from Dan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes 4-0. And last item under action items is the resignation of our special ed case manager.
Yes, and we are, Caitlin Zabilski, we are very sorry to see her go. She's been great, but she's moving on to a new challenge. So good luck to her and her new challenges.
All right. Okay. Take a motion to accept the resignation.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, Andrew. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously. And any of the board have anything they'd like to talk about in non-public? I don't believe we have anything. Nope. Amy, anything for non-public? Nope. All right. With that, just a reminder, we do have a meeting this Saturday for a retreat with the board, and the next meeting will be on the 18th here again at the middle school, high school cafetorium. And tomorrow night, don't forget, be part of the action here at the cafetorium and the presentation. So with that, I'd seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry, Amy has it.
Sorry.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 We are adjourned at 6:11. Oh, thank you again, Tim.